You know that moment when you're drowning in something, completely overwhelmed, and someone asks if you need help, and your mouth just says, "No, I'm fine," even though every cell in your body is screaming the opposite? Yeah, if you've ever sat alone struggling with something you could have solved in 5 minutes with one text message, welcome. You're about to understand why your brain does this. And no, you're not too proud, you're not weak. Something else is happening here that most people completely misunderstand. Here's the thing. Struggling to ask for help isn't about stubbornness. It's not about being difficult or independent to a fault. According to research from Harvard Business School, people who can't ask for help often have a nervous system that learned early on that needing things was dangerous. Not physically dangerous, but emotionally. And that lesson, that deep programming, it doesn't just go away because you're 30 now and logically know better. Psychologists call this self-reliance as a defense mechanism. And when you understand what's really driving it, the whole pattern starts to make sense in a way it never did before. So let's start with what's actually happening in your brain when someone offers help and you immediately refuse it. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes threat, lights up. Wild, right? Researchers at UCLA found that for people who struggle to ask for help, accepting assistance triggers the same neural pathways as vulnerability and exposure. Translation, your brain reads help as danger. Not because you're broken, but because at some point, probably way back, needing help came with a cost. Maybe when you were a kid and asked for help, you got dismissed. Or maybe you got it, but it came with guilt, like you were burdening someone. Or maybe the person who was supposed to help you used it against you later, turned your need into weakness, into ammunition. So your brain learned a very simple equation. Asking equals risk. Not asking equals safety. And that math, even when it doesn't serve you anymore, it's still running in the background. Here's where it gets interesting. People who can't ask for help usually have one thing in common. They're incredibly good at helping others, like suspiciously good. You'll drop everything for a friend's crisis. You'll stay late to help a coworker. You'll solve everyone's problems while yours pile up in the corner collecting dust. And that's not hypocrisy. That's the same survival pattern playing out differently. Because when you help others, you're valuable, you're needed, you're safe. But when you need help, you're exposed, you're a burden, you're risking rejection. Studies on reciprocity show that people who struggle to ask for help often grew up in environments where their worth was conditional. They had to earn love, approval, safety by being useful, by not needing things, by being the strong one. And that pattern, it doesn't just go away because you're an adult now. It just gets more sophisticated. Now, let's talk about what this actually looks like in your life, because it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just, spending 3 hours trying to fix something yourself that someone could have explained in 2 minutes. It's saying you're fine when you're clearly not. It's texting someone, typing out, "Hey, can you help me with something?" and then deleting it 5 times before giving up. It's feeling genuinely angry at yourself for needing anything from anyone. It's that weird thing where someone offers to help and you say no, then later you resent them for not insisting because part of you wanted them to see through the no, to push past it, to help anyway. But you also can't just say yes because that would mean admitting you need something. And admitting need for you feels like pulling your skin off in front of someone. There's actually research on what's called help-negation, and it's fascinating. Psychologist Avi Kaplan found that people avoid seeking help for 2 main reasons. Some avoid it because they're afraid of looking incompetent. That's one type. But the other type, and this might hit closer to home, they avoid it because asking feels like giving someone power over them. It feels like handing someone a loaded gun and hoping they don't pull the trigger. And if you grew up in an environment where vulnerability was weaponized, where your needs were used to control you or shame you, that makes perfect sense. Your brain isn't being dramatic, it's being accurate based on the data it collected when you were young and powerless. Quick question. Do you find it easier to ask for help with small things but impossible with big things? Or maybe the opposite, you can ask for major help but not minor favors. There's a reason for that too. Some people can ask for big help because it feels legitimate, serious enough to justify the ask. But small things, those feel trivial, like you should handle them yourself. Other people can only ask for small things because big requests feel too exposing, too much of a burden. Either way, you've created rules around when help is allowed. And those rules are probably stricter than anything you'd apply to someone else. Think about that. You'd never judge a friend for needing help moving or asking for advice. But when it's you, suddenly there's this whole internal court system deciding if your need is worthy enough. Here's something nobody talks about. Not asking for help isn't just exhausting for you. It's actually kind of unfair to the people who care about you because they want to help, they want to be there, but you won't let them. And I'm not saying that to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it because sometimes we forget that refusing help isn't just self-reliance. It's also refusing connection. It's saying, I trust you enough to help you, but not enough to let you help me. And that creates this weird imbalance in relationships where you're always the giver and never the receiver. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that relationships actually get stronger when both people are vulnerable, when both people ask for and offer help. But when one person refuses to ever need anything, it creates distance, because intimacy isn't just about being there for someone, it's about letting them be there for you. And if you never let anyone in, you're not protecting yourself. You're isolating yourself while calling it independence. Now, before you start spiraling, let's pump the brakes for a second, because there's a difference between healthy self-reliance and this. Healthy self-reliance is, I'll try to figure this out first, and if I can't, I'll ask for help. It's resourceful, it's confident. But the version we're talking about, it's more like, I will literally break myself before I admit I need anything from anyone. That's not strength, that's fear wearing a strength costume. And the tricky part is, society rewards this. We celebrate people who never ask for help. We call them independent, self-made, resilient. And sure, sometimes that's true, but other times it's just trauma disguised as a work ethic. It's a nervous system that never learned it was safe to need things, so it built an entire identity around not needing them. And honestly, that's exhausting to maintain. There's also this thing that happens when not asking for help becomes part of your identity. You're the strong one, the one who handles things, the one people lean on. And if you start asking for help, who even are you? It feels like losing yourself, like admitting you were never as capable as everyone thought. But here's the truth. The strongest people aren't the ones who never need help. They're the ones who know when to ask for it. Because asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that you're human, that you have limits, and that connection is more valuable than the illusion of complete self-sufficiency. So what do you do with all of this? How do you start asking for help when your entire nervous system is screaming at you not to? First, you have to recognize that the fear is real. It's not irrational, it's based on something that actually happened. Your brain learned that asking wasn't safe, so you're not being ridiculous, you're responding to old data. But here's the thing, that data is outdated. The people in your life now, hopefully, are not the people who made asking dangerous back then. And part of healing is updating the software, testing whether the old rules still apply. Start small. Ask for something low stakes. Can you grab me a coffee? Can you send me that link? Not because you desperately need it, but because you're practicing. You're teaching your nervous system that asking doesn't equal disaster. And when someone says yes, when they help without judgment or conditions, let that sink in. Let your brain collect new data. Asking was safe that time, maybe it can be safe again. Second, notice when you're about to refuse help you actually need. Catch yourself in that moment when someone offers and you're about to say, "No, I'm good." Pause. Ask yourself, am I refusing because I genuinely don't need this or because I'm scared? And if it's scared, maybe, just maybe, try saying yes anyway, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if every part of you wants to retreat. Because discomfort isn't the same as danger, and learning to tell the difference, that's where the growth happens. And here's something important. You're allowed to need help. You're allowed to not have it all together. You're allowed to be human, to have limits, to ask someone to carry part of the weight for a while. That doesn't make you weak or burdensome or too much. It makes you someone who understands that life is hard and we're not supposed to do it completely alone. The kid who learned to never ask, they did an incredible job surviving in a situation where asking wasn't safe. They were resourceful and strong, and they figured out how to get by without relying on anyone. But that kid, they're not in that situation anymore. And the adult they became, that's you. You deserve to finally experience what it's like to be held up instead of always holding everything up yourself. So the next time you're drowning and someone asks if you need help, maybe don't say no immediately. Maybe sit with the discomfort. Maybe say, actually, yeah, I could use some help, and see what happens. Because you might be surprised. You might find that the thing you've been avoiding your whole life, being helped, it's not as dangerous as your nervous system thinks. It might even feel, I don't know, kinda good. If this hit home for you, please link the video. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that subscribe button to become a channel member. I would genuinely appreciate it.